Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and today we're going to be doing a fish room tour of this side of the fish room. It's been a little while since we've done a tour, and since that last time we've gotten some new fish. Some fish that we got have grown up a little bit, so we want to show you that. So we're going to bring you this side now, and then in about a week or so we'll do the other side, so stay tuned. Alright, so I figured we'd start here with the 23-gallon bow front. This is a planted tank. It has water Sprite, and it also has our Apistogramma mendezi. Believe it or not, there's about 8 or 9 of them in here, 8 of them I believe, and they like the setup. We also have one scarlet batis in here as well. So this is the 23-gallon. Not much has changed here since the last update. Plants have gotten a lot bigger, and kind of like the way it looks, just kind of the more of the wild look for this tank. Down below we have a blinding light, and then we have a whole bunch of peacock gudgeons. So we've still got a lot of these. These are going to be going to auction here fairly soon. At least a lot of them are, but they're growing up. The colors are really nice. A little bit hard to see because of all the hornwort and everything, but you can see here, this is why we like the peacock gudgeons so much. They just have really great color, nice personality, and there's probably, I don't know, 60 or 70 of them in here at least. So that's the two tanks that are kind of stuck over here. So then we come around and we have the other peacock gudgeon tank. And these are a little bit older than the ones that we just saw. In fact, this group I'm planning to keep in this 20-gallon because I think we've got multiple breeding pairs going on here in those two caves, and I haven't made a huge effort to pull eggs because we have the other ones, but I think I'm going to start doing that again because they take quite a bit of time to mature and get to an age where people are actually going to want them, where they're showing color. So that usually takes at least 3 or 4 months. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting eggs from these guys here again pretty soon. But you can see here, it's a nice tank. I like the setup. Down below we have the super red bristlenose, and we've got a group of 7 in here, and I think they're finally starting to get to an age where we may start to see some breeding behavior from them pretty soon. In fact, right here we have a male, and then we've got a female right next to him. We've got some shrimp in here as well. Right next door we have our regular bristlenose breeding tank, and it's a mix of albinos and browns. Originally the 2 fish that were giving us most of the babies were 2 brown plecos that were carrying an albino gene, but now we're starting to see some of these albinos are large enough to be breeding as well, and I'm starting to see more albinos in the fry. A lot of snails in this tank because the plecos produced a fair amount of waste, and because they produce a fair amount of waste, the snails do a good job of kind of keeping that in check. There are also quite a few red cherry shrimp in this tank that are harder to see, so I'm not even going to really try to get them on camera because they're all in this massive amount of hornwort, but they are there and reproducing for us in this tank as well. So that's kind of cool. Now if we come around here, this tank has got a couple things going on. We recently got these lizard tail L10A plecos. Really cool. There's 3 of them. There's 2 of them in this fake plant, and the 3rd one is around here somewhere. And we also have 3 killies. These are Heterandria formosa. So we've got 3 of them in there. Really tiny little guys, pretty cool. So those were wild caught from Florida. So that's all that's really going on in this tank right now. In this one down here, this other 20, we have our guppies, a whole bunch of them. Really like the way they're turning out, especially the males looking pretty cool with that antler body and more of the fancy guppy sort of tail. So that's what's happening there. We come up, and now we've got the multi-tank. So this is our 50-gallon lowboy, and again, all we've got going on here are multis. There's probably about 50 of them in here right now. We probably sold or gave away about a dozen of them. In this corner, it's probably gonna be hard to see, but we do have some more little tiny fry right there. So there's about 5 of them right there, and periodically we'll see 4 or 5 of them. But yeah, this is the multi lowboy, 50-gallon lowboy tank. I like that one a lot. And then if we come up here, this is a 20-gallon long that has some Thrichthyes maculopinnus that I am now scaring. Sorry about the glare everywhere, but they're getting to the point now where they're finally starting to color up, so they're starting to get red dorsal fins. I'm starting to see a little bit of blue on their body. So these things are pretty cool. There's probably at least 12 or 14 of them in here, and really looking forward to seeing these guys get a lot more color. They've gotten a lot bigger since when we first got them. We've got a video out when we had gotten them as little tiny babies, and they're growing pretty fast. They're relatively peaceful so far. Over here we have a 40-gallon breeder that's got 4 electric blue cars, and they've gotten a lot bigger too, probably since we last brought them to you. That's a male right there, and then I believe that other one up here is a male as well. And then these 2 smaller ones, not quite sure. I'm hoping that they're females. So this tank it's a planted tank that's got the electric blue cars. There's a big male bristlenose in here in addition to these 4. The kind of cool thing is up here, sorry about the brightness, we've got some pothos, and this tank originally had goldfish in it, if you remember. And now with these electric blue car, they're not eating the roots like the goldfish did. And now look at the roots from the pothos are growing out of the top of the tank, and they're starting to make their way into the gravel. And I think that's going to be a really cool look when all these roots start growing into the back. They'll give it kind of a natural feel. So the only issue we're having with that is because the pothos does a great job of sucking up nitrates and phosphates, we're having to fertilize this tank a little bit more, otherwise some of the other plants start to suffer. So we kind of keep an eye on that, but we love the electric blue acaras. They're just really beautiful fish, not super overly aggressive. They look fantastic on a dark substrate, dark background, as you can see. Really allows these fish to kind of stand out. Probably one of my more favorite tanks, just because the personality of the fish and just the way that they kind of shine. Definitely cool. So if we kind of move over to the next tank, this is another 40-gallon breeder. This is the one that's housing the Cyprichromis leptosoma, and we've got 7 of them, 4 females, 3 males. The females are the more silvery ones, and we also have some shell dwellers. These are the brevis, and they are about the same size as Maltese, except they don't get the stripes. Head shape is a little bit different. They stay a little bit more silvery than the Maltese do. And so we've got 6 of those, along with some bristlenose. We've got an albino bristlenose over there. There's a couple more as well. And there's actually a couple cory cats in here in addition to the Cyprichromis and the brevis. But it's a combination so far. It's working out pretty good. If we move on up, we have our jewel cichlids. These are not going to be around much longer. We're going to go ahead and bring these to auction just because we want to free up this tank so that we can put the star sapphires in here. This white sand, which has been giving me fits since we put this in here, for whatever reason, it's just not working out very well. So we're going to get rid of the white sand. We're going to get rid of the jewel cichlids. They're going to auction. The star sapphires are going in. And I think it's going to be a better looking tank long term. And then over here, we have a couple different things going on. That is right in the center. We've got some inkfin calvus. The fish on the left is Neolamprologus meleagris. That's a shell dweller. Pretty cool looking fish, I think. And then we also have our powder blue thread fins, which right now are, for whatever reason, very afraid. There's a couple of them right there. There's 4 of them in the tank as well. And so that is what's going on in this 40-gallon. All right, so here we have the Pseudotropheus psilocybe tank. This is a tank that we recently rehardscaped with this sandstone. Still holding up pretty well. The one mistake I made is I had some hornwort, and it's floating at the top. And then I had some more that I put some lead weights around. I kind of sunk it a little bit, like halfway behind those rocks, and now that stuff has pretty much disintegrated. It didn't get enough light back where it was. This light is not strong enough for that. It'll grow the hornwort at the top. It won't grow it sunk down like that. It's just a standard fluorescent light like you see here, and that didn't work. That did not work, so now I'm dealing with having to clean up the dead parts that are periodically dying off and then sink into the sand. But other than that, I still think a nice looking tank. I'm still happy with the way it turned out. The fish seem to like it. They seem to interact pretty well with what's going on. They've dug out some little pits behind the rocks, so that looks pretty cool. So I'm happy with that. Up above, here we've got the Geophagus steindactyri, and in a little while we'll see the fry that they've produced. This tank is gotten kind of interesting. These three fish here are males. That's the big male, and he's trying to entice the female. This is the female here, and then we got the big male chasing everybody around. So I think they're getting to an age now where that large male is becoming less tolerant of other males in the tank, and unfortunately with the ratio that we have, it's basically 4 males and 1 female. Actually 5 males. There's one up in the hornwort up there. So that's going to have to be fixed. I don't think this is going to work out long term, so these males may wind up going to auction just because I don't want them getting beat up. I'll let these two have this tank to themselves. So this is the 75-gallon Mbuna tank. Cool fish in here. We got the ACI, we've got the Johannes, we've got some red zebras, yellow labs, we've got that OB, some Kenii. There's also a couple Lake Victorian cichlids in here, a couple of zebra obliquidans. And then we've got the Pseudotropheus elongatus. That's the darker striped one up there that you see. So I think I'm going to do something on that pretty soon. But yeah, we're still happy with this tank. I think we're going to add another half dozen or so Mbunas to this tank at some point. We've got to add a decent amount. Otherwise, if we just added 1 or 2 to an established tank like this, they'd probably get killed. But if we add enough, it probably will work out okay. So we'll think about that in the next month or so. Down below, this is the other 75. It's a cool looking tank. We redid this a while back. We've got some dragon bloods back here. We also have Red Empress. This is the male. He's a nice looking male. We've got this male. There's another one in here as well. And then there's also 4 Red Empress females. There's the female right there. But he kind of runs this tank. This is his. We haven't gotten any fry from the Red Empress. And I take that back. We got 2 fry and a 10-gallon. I'll show you that in a little while. But we haven't gotten any, batches of fry. And I would figure by now with this male and the 4 females that we would have gotten fry by now. So hopefully that will happen. I know he's trying. He does his little dance and he tries to get them over by this structure over here, but just hasn't worked out. And we'll see. But again, you can see when he gets into the light, he's really nice. I mean, he's definitely one of the nicer fish, or probably is the nicest fish we have in this tank. And he's still pretty young, so I think he's going to color up even more. We've had Red Empress before that had even more color than this, so that'll be exciting to see. Hopefully he gets even more color. There's the Dragon Bloods. I wouldn't say they're a particularly beautiful strain. I've seen much better, had much better, but they're decent color. A little bit of orange. They've got a little bit of orange on the fins that's not really coming through on camera. Not super aggressive, so that's kind of nice. And we have gotten fry from them, and I'll show you that here shortly. But that's what's going on in the 75. So across from the 75 down here, we've got a couple 20 highs. This tank I am completely unhappy with, and as you can see, the guppy grass has gotten way out of control. Believe it or not, there are at least a half a dozen white clouds back there, a couple plecos, and as I've always mentioned, we've got 4 Apisto axizii in here that I have never been able to get on camera, and there is an incredibly beautiful male in here, and I will see him from time to time, but they're super shy. This tank I'm not happy with it obviously at all, and it's going to have to get redone. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do with the Apistos anymore, if I'm going to try to breed them, because they haven't. And yeah, I'm just going to have to see how we go with that tank. Over here we have another 20 high. These have some barred goodeids. I like these fish. They're not super colorful, but they're not very common either, and so a lot of action. They do a lot of You know, they use the whole tank, swim around a lot. I do like these fish, and I would like to see them breed at some point. Problem is, these fish will eat their young. They are live bearers, but they will eat their young, and I don't have enough cover in this tank just yet. But we can see here some guppy grass is growing. I may actually put some of this into here and try to get more cover for the fry, so that if we do get some fry, they have a better chance of surviving. But I would like to eventually get these guys to breed and then, you know, just grow the fry up. I think that would be pretty cool. So that's kind of what's going on in this tank. I'll try to get a little closer picture for you of the goodeids. They're not shy. So there you see them. All right, so we just took a look at the 240s, we got the 275s, just to kind of give you some orientation as to what we're looking at. Here we have those 220s. So if we pan around, we wind up in the 125 Oscar tank. So this tank it's been a little bit of a challenge for us. As some of you know, Oscars they eat a lot, they produce a lot of waste, and originally we just had the 3 sponge filters in there. That was great for the biological filtration. It was having no problems keeping up. There was no ammonia, no nitrites ever. However, the mechanical filtration was really suffering, and so we were getting a lot of green algae, green hair algae, all throughout these fake plants, on the surfaces of the sponge filters, on the air tubes, all over the driftwood. And so we did a couple things here with this tank. Thing number one is I added well, it's hard to see, but there is a hang-on back filter there, and that allowed for a little bit more mechanical filtration, so that helped. But then, we're going to see the rest of these guys later, I also added this Nile perch, and these get huge. So not a ton of color, but there is some red and some orange in the dorsal fin, the tail fin. But these guys get really big. So you're looking at a fish that can get 18 inches easily. And so super peaceful. It doesn't bother anyone. But the really cool thing that it did do for us is it ate all of the algae on these plants. It ate it off the driftwood. It ate it off the filters. So a combination of that guy eating a bunch of algae and the hang-on back filter really helped this tank out quite a bit. It is by no means, a gorgeous tank, but we do what we can with these Oscars because they're bruisers. I mean, we actually had in this corner over here on the other side of that piece of wood, there was a fake plant it was a large fake plant, and they decided that was going to be an area where they wanted to dig. Well, the albino Oscar in particular got upset that plant was in the way, so I came down one day and they had literally torn all of that plant into pieces. I mean, it was a big plant. It was like this plant here. They had just ripped it up, and not just ripped it out of the ground, but ripped up the entire plant itself. So yes, Oscars will they'll mess up your tank if they want to. They're decent size. Obviously this guy's the biggest one here. He's probably closing in on probably about 12 inches. The other two aren't quite there, maybe 8 or 9 inches, but they get along great. Sometimes the two smaller ones, they will do this kind of lock mouths a little bit. Not even really lock mouths, but just kind of open their mouth, say, hey, I don't really appreciate you being so close to me. I don't appreciate it either. They do that, and then somebody goes away. And you can see no fin nipping. The fins are in absolutely perfect shape for all three. And so I've said this before, we've got the Oscar video species profile, but we like these fish. They're fun to watch. They're not super fast or anything, but they're usually in motion, very calming to watch, fun to feed. They still eat pretty vigorously, so that's kind of cool. But I really enjoy these fish. This is one of my favorite tanks, just to kind of come down here, sit down. When I'm looking at fish, this is a tank I find myself looking at quite a bit. All right, so if we just want to give you guys a quick overview of the room then. So we got the 125 with the Oscars, there's the 275s, the cichlid tanks. The whole back wall has got the 6 40-gallon breeders. Right in the center, we've got the 50-gallon lowboy with the Maltese, and then underneath that are the 4 20 highs. And then along this wall, we have the 420 longs. And then as we come back, we have the 23-gallon bow front and the 37-gallon down below. All right, everyone, so the fish are changing. They're getting a little bit bigger. Some of them are getting some more color. We're excited to see those changes, and as we continue to see the changes, they get larger, they get more color. We're gonna be sure to bring that to you as well. So if you like this video, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.